idea. I don't think I can see. I mean, it's hard, but at least it's a good weather today.
Last night, midnight. It's crazy. That's when they call you.
I was already seeing.
Yeah. So by the way, good call.
Yeah.
No, I know.
It hurts. It still hurts.
Right after you, because he went
Part the programs and
We'll move on.
Polvo.
Nobody cares. It's just,
Okay. Then we'll, because we want
live to fight others, right?
yeah,
as long as you're okay with that.
Done.
many days ahead.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. We gather here today to announce the first direct Puerto Rico statehood admissions bill in the history of our nation. This bipartisan bill simply admits Puerto Rico as a state. We introduced this historic legislation at this time for several compelling reasons. First, this bill is about respecting democracy. Puerto Ricans voted by a 97% margin to support statehood over territorial status or independence in 2017. I witnessed this election firsthand with Representative Don Young and found it to be in compliance with federal and Puerto Rico law, and we are joined by the Dean of the House, Congressman Don Young, as well. Second, this bill is about respecting equality. The U.S. House already passed a bill urging statehood for the District of Columbia in H.R. 1. We must treat Hispanics on the island of Puerto Rico equally in that regard. Third, and something that all of you have been reporting on for particularly over the last couple of years, is Puerto Rico's colonial status is not working. Look no further than the abysmal Hurricane Maria recovery efforts and the draconian Promesa law to prove this point too well. I also witnessed this firsthand on a recent congressional oversight trip in a bipartisan fashion with others before and other trips before that. Puerto Ricans need their own U.S. senators and representatives to fight for the needs and hold Washington accountable. Fourth, Puerto Rico is too big to be a territory anymore. The island is home to 3.2 million Americans and has a bigger population than 21 states. To put this in perspective, the next most populous territory is Guam, with approximately 163,000 Americans. Finally, Puerto Ricans have served in the U.S. military and have lost their lives defending this country in higher rates than most states. We need to respect and honor the sacrifices of these servicemen and women. I am pleased to announce that Chairman Grijalva has agreed to hold a hearing in the Committee on Natural Resources, a committee that I serve on, and the committee with jurisdiction over matters related to Puerto Rico and other insular lands. I am excited about the possibility of finally ending this historic injustice. It's time for all Puerto Ricans to be united behind a noble and democratic effort. It's time to let the old battle lines fade away. It's time to end 120 years of colonialism, and it's time for Congress to finally make Puerto Rico a state. And I'm honored to be joined by my co-introducer, the resident commissioner, Congresswoman Jenniffer González Colón, who has been a champion on this, and thank you for joining me in this bipartisan bill, Commissioner, and please, if you would mind saying a few words.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Darren, for taking the leadership in the Democratic side to help us out, fulfill the right of all American citizens living in Puerto Rico. Since 1898, we've been part of the U.S., but we'll never get the full citizenship we deserve. Our people have served in all theaters of war without the right to vote for our commander-in-chief. And again, people are leaving the island not because the weather here is better.
Yeah.
They're leaving the island because we don't have the same opportunities, the same rights, and the same benefits regular citizens will have. That's the reason you see a lot of Puerto Ricans now living in Florida, Texas, and the eastern coast. But today is a good day for Puerto Rico. During the last Congress, we filed and we dropped a bill about statehood, and we got more than 58 co-sponsors in a bipartisan way trying to get statehood to Puerto Rico. Today, we're going to do the same thing with our friend Darren Soto from Florida, Don Young, the Dean of the House, and actually one of the biggest champions the statehood got for many, many years, and Representative Rubén Gallego, thank you for doing that as well. Today, we got an opportunity to achieve what is the bedrock of democracy, and that's equality. We're asking not for parity, we're asking for equality for the people of Puerto Rico, to let us achieve our American dream. But one of the issues that it's with us today is that statehood will come to Puerto Rico. It is a matter of time when it happens. But we need to have Congress acting on it in a decisive way. That's the reason I do believe some people are asking for statehood for Washington, D.C. Why not statehood for Puerto Rico?
Amen.
That's the reason I'm here today, and we're going to fight this. We're going to do it together. This is not a left or right issue. This is an issue of civil rights. This is an issue of the American people, the unfinished business in American history, and we need to make it right. And I think that hearing will help us out to trigger the issue, to have another bill in the Senate side as well, so we can work this together in a bipartisan way. So actually, this is the only bill regarding statehood, even for D.C. or for Puerto Rico, that is in a bipartisan way. And that will show us the way. I want to thank the governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rosselló, that has been the spearhead of the statehood movement in Puerto Rico, and we're working this together. As well, the members from the State House and the Senate of Puerto Rico that are here with us today. I think we got a great opportunity to recognize the vote of 2012, 61% of the people of the island voted for statehood. In 2017, 97% of the people who voted for statehood. So it's time to get this done. It's time to let the people of Puerto Rico to become the 51st state of the nation.
Next, we'll hear from the Dean of the House, Representative Don Young of Alaska.
Thank you, guys. This is a great day for the United States and Puerto Rico especially. I've been working on this issue approximately 30 years now. And as Alaska was not the last state, but one of the few states that I lived in before it was a state. And I know the benefit of being a state. And it's time Puerto Rico is recognized by the Congress as a state. So the senators will be there, the congressmen will be there. And I'm very proud of you for sponsoring this bill and the commissioner for sponsoring this bill. It's a dream come true for me. And hopefully it'll be successful. And I hope Americans recognize it is time. It's a time to get this done for the justice of the people of Puerto Rico. God bless you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Young. Next, we'll hear from Governor Ricardo Rosselló.
Thank you. Thank you for this great opportunity. I will try to keep it brief. My first statements are to thank the leadership. Thank you, Congressman Soto, for your leadership, your friendship to the island, and your commitment to address this injustice, to finally solve the unfinished business of American democracy. Thank you, Congresswoman González. You have been the heart and soul of this movement. You have fought in every way against injustice, and today this bill is another showcase of the efforts that you are doing and that your leadership is showcasing. Thank you, Congressman Gallego, for your commitment to Puerto Rico and to our population, and for all of those veterans that live in the island but that they don't have equal rights. You certainly can teach us a lot about that, and thank you for supporting our members. Thank you, of course, Don Young. What can we say? He has been on top of this issue historically, and we hope that we're going to get to see the other side of this issue, of this 500-year-old issue, resolved. Thank you to Congressman Raskin for your commitment, your thoroughness on this matter, the strength of the Constitution behind it and having all of the arguments supporting the change of this injustice. To our local leadership, Carmelo Rios and to Jose Aponte, thank you as well. And to the members of the Equality Commission that we have in Puerto Rico. For those of you that don't know, we commissioned 7 members from Puerto Rico to be our shadow delegates over here, working with the resident commissioner so that we can move this agenda forward. Thank you for treating this issue. It is a 500-year-old issue. It is a 120-year-old issue here in the United States. It has been latent, but only really after the hurricane did the rest of the nation and the world got to see the reality whereby 3.3 million U.S. citizens are disenfranchised, don't have the power to vote, don't get equal resources, and are treated with injustice that is just simply unacceptable in the modern times. I would ask that every decision maker has a strong, firm position on this bill on Puerto Rico. Do not allow anybody to get away with an easy answer. Self-determination is not the easy answer. It's not a cop-out. It's a cop-out answer. Puerto Rico has already determined in 2 occasions that we want to be a state. That is not an acceptable choice. You're either with Puerto Rico or you're against Puerto Rico. It is time to put up or to shut up. And it is time to take action on behalf of the people of Puerto Rico. It is time to reach out to all of those that preach equality and that have supported bills such as statehood for Washington, D.C., to ask them, if you support a H.R. 1 bill for statehood for Puerto Rico, why would you not support the same for Washington, D.C.? Why would you not support the same for the people of Puerto Rico? It is time to ask these questions. It is time to get direct answers. It is time to end the unequal treatment of U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico. And I want to thank this leadership for spearheading this brave effort. And I am hopeful that our next generation will see the results of not being treated as second-class citizens, of equality, and of progress. Thank you, and God bless all. I will briefly try to replicate in Spanish. Gracias a todos los compañeros que están aquí, particularmente al representante, al congresista Darren Soto y a nuestra congresista Jenniffer González Colón por hacer este esfuerzo bipartita, al igual que todos los compañeros que nos acompañan, cada uno demostrando que tienen compasión, compromiso y liderazgo para atender la injusticia que ocurre en Puerto Rico. Es tiempo de tomar una determinación clara sobre el asunto inconcluso de la democracia en los Estados Unidos, que es 3.3 millones de ciudadanos americanos que residen en la isla, que no tienen el derecho a voto y que no tienen el poder para ejercer cambios. La injusticia se vio manifestada después del huracán María y el mundo completo vio lo que ocurría en los Estados Unidos. Había una ciudadanía de primera clase para los que vivían en los estados y una de segunda clase para los que vivimos en Puerto Rico. Eso tiene que terminar si nosotros aspiramos a los más altos ideales de nuestra nación, que son la igualdad, la democracia, los derechos civiles. Este es nuestro momento y yo le agradezco nuevamente a este liderato congresional por tomar unos pasos afirmativos y resolver este asunto inconcluso de la democracia americana.
Next, we are joined by a major veteran leader in the Congress from Arizona, Congressman Ruben Gallego, Iraq war veteran and hero to Puerto Rico. Thank you.
We'll wait to that. So I was actually going to make my remarks in Spanish, but I don't really want to follow that. That's like pulling on Superman's cape. Look, we're here most importantly because Puerto Ricans, no matter what the president may think or others may think, are Americans. And we in this country have said separate but equal is inherently unequal. And yet we allow this to happen to 3.2 million people every day. That their rights are basically determined by their zip code or by their area code. A Puerto Rican can jump on a plane and land in Florida within an hour and a half and have 100% rights, or stay on the island and have diminished rights. In what world can we allow that to happen? As a veteran, it is insulting that I know that my fellow veterans do not get the full benefits that come with service to this country. We ask Puerto Ricans to give 100% sacrifice, their life, their blood, their youth. But yet, how do we reward them? We don't reward them with 100% service or credit. Veterans do not get 100% service that they do here in the United States. You don't get enough reward or reimbursement for TRICARE, on and on and on. But yet we demand, we ask, and we appreciate when the Puerto Ricans, since World War I, have been given their blood for our independence and our soil, but yet we never give them the full rights and equality that they deserve, that they have been doing and fighting for us for hundreds of years. That is wrong. It is inherently un-American, and I may not be Puerto Rican. I certainly do not have the background that all my colleagues have here, but I care about all Americans, and Puerto Rico is part of America, and every American, every member of this Congress, whether you're Democrat or Republican, should care about the status of Puerto Rico, and that status should be that it should be a state. Thank you.
Adopted. You're adopted now.
Adopted, all right.
Next, we have a major progressive leader in our caucus, as well as a recognized constitutional expert that many of us rely on for a lot of these types of issues, Representative Jamie Raskin of Maryland. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Darren Soto. I'm delighted to be here with the governor, with Jenniffer, González, the resident commissioner from Puerto Rico, all of my friends who've come together. Look, Tocqueville said that democracy is always expanding or it's contracting. We can go in one direction or the other. And Puerto Rican statehood is an important part of the expansion and deepening of the meaning of American democracy today. It's built into the Constitution. In Article 4, Section 3, Congress is given the power to admit new states from the territory that it's got. And I'm from one of the original 13 states, from Maryland, and I'm so proud to represent Maryland. But I'm also proud of the 37 states that we've admitted since America was founded. And in that process, there's been a period of kind of territorial holding, and then, as Jefferson foresaw, all of the territories would be able to come in as part of states, because the premise of our democracy is equality, and we want equal rights among everybody who lives in the country. So it was said during this process that you couldn't admit, for example, states that weren't contiguous, and that objection was raised against Hawaii and Alaska, and that was rejected. It was said when Texas was admitted, it used to be its own republic and it can't be admitted, but we admitted Texas. It was said at a lot of different points the people are speaking the wrong language in Texas or in New Mexico or California, Colorado. In Maine, it was said they were speaking French. That was rejected. At every point, we have rejected all of these pedestrian, partisan arguments against statehood in order to vindicate the basic principle of American democracy, which is political equality under the law. Now, Darren and my other friends have said that there are a lot of people who are supporting statehood for the District of Columbia. If they can do that, they can support statehood for Puerto Rico. That's absolutely true, but I don't want to set it up on a competitive basis. If you look at the history, in fact, most states have entered kind of like animals boarding Noah's Ark, in pairs, in twosies. And so you can pair Puerto Rico and the petition of New Columbia together. And that's how it was done in Kansas, Nebraska, Hawaii, Alaska, and so on. You can find lots of examples throughout our history. We should think of this as an opportunity of expanding the meaning of the country, and think what a wonderful statement it will be to the rest of the world on the day when Puerto Rico becomes the 51st or 52nd state of the Union.
Thank you, Jimmy. Very good. And we all agree this should be a united effort between both Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia to advance both these bills. So thank you for talking about that unity and us all being consistent. We're going to end the conference with the Majority Leader in the Senate, Senator Carmelo Rios. Thank you so much for coming up from Puerto Rico, and thanks for being a staunch ally.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Soto, our Resident Commissioner Jenniffer, and all the members of Congress. I am a Puerto Rican. I am a son of a veteran. I also happen to be the president of the National Hispanic Caucus State Legislators, Executive Committee member Tunaleo, CSG, and NCSL. among all those positions, I advocate all year long about equality on immigrants, women, LGBTQ, and all rights for human beings. But I find myself with the unfinished business of American democracy when I come back to my homeland of Puerto Rico, a territory of the United States of America. I only ask this question, there's only one question that is very simple. Who doesn't want to be equal to? The aspiration of any human being is to be treated as equal. The aspiration of any human being, regardless of your origin, is how can I belong and be treated fairly as equal? So I commend this Congress, Republican or Democrat, for coming together on behalf of 3.2 million U.S. citizens. I commend also the ladies and gentlemen behind the cameras that have worked tirelessly for years to have this become a reality for the people of Puerto Rico that I represent as the majority leader of the Senate. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Ahora en español. Es una gran ironía que nosotros, muchos líderes a nivel de Puerto Rico, el caso mío como presidente de legisladores hispanos de Estados Unidos y varias organizaciones nacionales, luchamos por la igualdad de inmigrantes, luchamos por la igualdad de la gente LGBTQ, de las mujeres, pero cuando regreso a Puerto Rico me encuentro indefenso democráticamente hablando. Desafortunadamente nuestros veteranos no tienen el mismo trato. Y yo quiero agradecerle a Darren, a Jenniffer, a todos los congresistas, a todos los que están detrás de las cámaras, que por años han luchado por la igualdad de derechos de los puertorriqueños y puertorriqueñas. Es hora ya de que dejemos de estar hablando de igualdad y practiquemos la igualdad. Tenemos un gobernador que es sensible y un gobernador que es firme y que ha luchado por la igualdad de los derechos desde que su padre fue gobernador y él era apenas un teenager. Ahora es nuestro gobernador y es hora de cerrar ese círculo. Estadidad e igualdad para Puerto Rico ahora. No hay excusas. Muchas gracias.
Yeah, sure. Okay. We're going to end with former Speaker of the House, José Aponte. Gracias por asistiendo, hermano.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Jenniffer. And thank you to all the members of the House. I want to highlight one thing. The only place in the world that an American citizen lose the opportunity to the absentee vote is in a territory in Puerto Rico. If any citizens move to Korea, to China, Venezuela, to any place in the world, has the opportunity to ask for the absentee ballot. But in Puerto Rico, they lose that opportunity. Why? If we are part of the United States. We have to change that now. Not tomorrow, now. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a few questions.
Mira, yo voy a contestar brevemente eso. La plataforma del Partido Republicano, por más de 50 años, tiene el respaldo de la estadidad para Puerto Rico. Así que esto no es un asunto exclusivo de un tuit, de un comentario. La voluntad del pueblo de Puerto Rico va mucho más allá de eso. Y de hecho, él como presidente del Partido Republicano endosó en esa plataforma la transición de Puerto Rico hacia la estadidad. A mí no me preocupan las expresiones sobre el estatus del presidente, porque esto es un asunto que el Congreso tiene que actuar, que ya el pueblo de Puerto Rico habló y la voluntad del pueblo, como en cualquier votación, tiene que honrarse. Así que yo estoy convencida de que tanto en la Cámara con este proyecto, con respaldo republicano y demócrata, lo mismo en el Senado, donde se estará también radicando más adelante un proyecto bipartita, se tendrá que escuchar. Y yo creo que esto es un asunto, el presidente respalda a los veteranos. Puerto Rico ha tenido más de 249,000 hombres y mujeres sirviendo en las Fuerzas Armadas. Este es el momento de la verdad, este es el momento de la igualdad y de la equidad. Así que a mí no me preocupa sobre el asunto del estatus, porque la plataforma republicana es bien clara, estaría en contra entonces de lo que plantea la plataforma del propio partido.
Es un síntoma de un problema mucho más grande que estamos atendiendo aquí. El que se trate a Puerto Rico diferente por este o cualquier otro presidente es un síntoma de lo que estamos tratando de atender aquí. Es un síntoma que ya tiene 120 años y que nosotros queremos resolver. Así que la pregunta es si nosotros queremos resolver verdaderamente el trato igual a los ciudadanos americanos que residen en Puerto Rico. No es tan solo tomar otras acciones a corto plazo, es atender el problema de raíz. El problema de raíz es este. Si miras todos los problemas que tenemos en Puerto Rico, ya bien sea el flujo de dinero en la recuperación, ya bien sea la disparidad de pagos en Medicaid que nosotros tenemos, ya bien sean el seguro social suplementario, la falta de Earned Income Tax Credit, la falta del Child Tax Credit, entre otras iniciativas, la raíz del problema es que estamos tratados desigual. Vamos a erradicar esa raíz del problema y entonces podemos edificar de cara hacia el futuro.
Okay, next question. So we've already talked about how there's been 2 elections that were duly noticed. I was down there as a neutral observer along with Don Young. I never even had a position on status until after I saw for my firsthand that there was a valid election. We must, as a democracy, respect results of elections. Otherwise, we fall down a rabbit hole of history. So in our democracy, it's fundamental, whether it's a primary, a general, or a plebiscite, that those who vote are counted. And Jamie, I see you motion over here. Did you want to comment on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Governor?
I think you should. He is an expert.
The democratic will of the people of Puerto Rico is paramount here, and that's been the case with every state admission. You need an expression of the popular will of the people. I think that it's manifest, it's clear. A lot, there have been other cases where people have boycotted statehood elections because they don't support it, but that just means their votes aren't counted.
Thank you.
2 processes, 2 actions. Every time, and I want to make this very clear, every time we start approaching a resolution to the status issue, a new excuse comes about. Whether it's at one point that we hadn't asked for statehood. Well, we asked for statehood. At another point it was, well, you have to have certain economic parameters. Well, those economic parameters are in large part limited in Puerto Rico because of our colonial territory. That, some X percentage of the population voted. Well, we've had 2 plebiscites. One where we got 97% of the vote for statehood, and one where 80+% of the population, of the eligible voters, voted. And they voted for statehood as well. So you can pick and choose. There's 2 express will of the people of Puerto Rico, and this project ratifies that. What we want is a resolution. We just, what we hope to avoid is this never-ending obstacle-imposing path towards equality for the people of Puerto Rico. You have to ask the people that don't want this to happen, why don't you want it to happen? Why don't you want it to happen? Why don't you want equality for the people of Puerto Rico? It cannot be an open-ended answer such as self-determination when the express will of the people has already been determined in the past 7 years.
We'll take one more question because we have limited time here. So this bill makes that very clear.
Yes, so we are supporting this bill. As governor, I will use all of the mechanisms at my disposition, as I stated in the past, to make sure this moves forward. But I am strongly behind this bill. I support Congressman Soto and Congresswoman González in this effort. But as governor and as a fervent supporter of equal rights, I will fight for this result in any and all platforms. Well, a few things. Number one, I think that the comments from the president show a lack of empathy. They're inaccurate. They're unjust, and I feel that he has advisors must be misleading him. There needs to be a deeper understanding, and that is why I've asked him to sit down with him and to show him the data. I can explain to you, if you give me the opportunity, why the recovery in Puerto Rico has been treated so unequally to every other recovery effort. I'll give you a few examples. Katrina, as many of you know, not necessarily known for its effective recovery. By the same point, 18 months after the storm, they had 2,400 permanent work projects moving along. In Puerto Rico, we have 46. What does that mean? It means that for every 52 projects in Louisiana, we have one in Puerto Rico. By the second token, every analysis has shown that Puerto Rico storm was a 500 to 1,000-year storm, that the devastation was more massive than anywhere else. They've asked us for unprecedented levels of compliance and oversight. We've agreed. We agree that the taxpayer needs to see where the money is flowing and that it's being used effectively. But still, that has been an obstacle towards our recovery. We've used that funding effectively, but it's been very slow, and it's been a very slow recovery. So I would say my petition, my request to the president would be, in a position where Puerto Rico has been bullied for so long, the way you fight that bullying is by fixing with enough force the platform. And this is the platform that we fix, the platform of equality. I would ask the president to let's cease the insults and the attacks. We are not your political adversaries, Mr. President. We are your U.S. citizens.
And just to finally answer the other part of that question, so right now, as we speak, the Senate is waging a large debate over the NAP program and the funding for Puerto Rico. There wouldn't even be a debate over that if Puerto Rico was a state, because they would already be getting these funds under SNAP. So you see the vulnerability that the island has when it's treated differently. $600 million that's intent on helping needy, hungry families, predominantly children, are held up in a political debate in the Senate because the current status allows that to happen. So thank you for that great question. We're going to close out the press conference now because we're out of time as far as our space, but folks will take individual questions. Thank you, everybody, for coming.